Following the failure that was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League earlier this year, a lot of gamers started noticing the consultancy firm Sweet Baby Inc. had a hand in that game. And when they started looking into it, they realized that Sweet Baby Inc.'s sole purpose within the video game industry is to instruct various studios on how to push more DEI elements within their games. Not necessarily make them better or anything like that, but just how to have more representation. As a result, the group Sweet Baby Inc. Detected was created over on Steam, and their purpose is basically to inform gamers that some games out there have companies like Sweet Baby Inc. specifically working for them, or other similar minded ones trying to push their agendas in their games, not necessarily make them better, but the game exists in order to try to push an agenda. So they have their recommendations or not recommendations involved with Sweet Baby Inc., involved with Hit Detection LLC, which is a company similar to Sweet Baby Inc. You get the idea. And a lot of these games have failed because of their connection with Sweet Baby Inc. and other similar companies like that. Not all of them, but some of them do. And it's gotten to the point where many of the employees who previously worked for Sweet Baby Inc., if they move on in the industry, they become kind of toxic to a lot of studios because they don't want to have the heat that they bring into their company. And it's even got to the point where Sweet Baby Inc. themselves have started delisting their clients on their website because a lot of their clients don't want people to know that they're actually working with them. And it's gotten to the point now where when people do uncover that certain game studios are working with Sweet Baby Inc., others have been trying to get these YouTubers removed or silenced because they don't like word getting out of what's actually going on within the industry. Games for Diversity tries to silence YouTubers for exposing Sweet Baby Inc. detection or connection. This is coming from That Park Plays. Games for Diversity, a Dutch gaming firm that helped push the game about a magical drag performer serving beefy men in their underwear to children, is attempting to silence the Gothic Therapy YouTube channel. This happened after its host, MasterOfTheTDS and WritingRaven, exposed the company's ties to Sweet Baby Inc. and the PAL Group. And it says in this article that WritingRaven is a contributor for That Park Place, just for full transparency's sake. In a video released 2 weeks ago, the husband and wife YouTube duo shone a light on Games for Diversity and its agenda. The company connects developers with gamers to create DEI-centric games that push the very specific narrative pertaining to gender, pride, values, immigration, and more. So you get the idea. Games for Diversity is kind of like an intermediary where companies like Sweet Baby Inc. will meet up with them and be like, we want to work with a company that's creating a video game. This video game developer will come to them and say like, hey, we're trying to find a consultancy firm to push more DEI in our games. And they just kind of match them up together. But right now it's looking like since MasterOfTheTDS and WritingRaven have pointed out that they have this connection with Sweet Baby Inc. and what Games for Diversity is actually doing out there, they're trying to get this information silenced because, you know, they don't like honesty. The company was also revealed to have ties to Sweet Baby Inc., the narrative design firm started by Bowser enthusiast Kim Belair, and that's because she has like a kink fetish for Bowser or something like that. It's pretty weird if you ask me, but whatever, it is what it is. That seeks to inject DEI and ESG into just about every video game. The idea for Sweet Baby Inc. came to Belair when she was playing Mass Effect 2 and decided that allowing players to choose the race and gender of their protagonists was problematic. And she said that was the case because she would play it as a black character and she was thinking to herself, well, a lot of other people aren't getting this same experience. Like, yeah, they're getting their own experience. She doesn't like to have freedom when it comes to video games. She wants people to have to play the games as she personally likes them, not how they personally want to play them, because it's not like video games are about having fun or anything like that. It's about getting across the message. And that's kind of the mentality with a lot of these people who are trying to do this sort of thing. They just think of video games as a soapbox to push their political agenda, and gamers overwhelmingly have been rejecting that the last couple of years, which is why games that have been leaning really heavily into this sort of thing have been failing. So it talks about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and how that got a lot of attention to them in a negative way. MasterOfTheTDS pointed out that on the official press page for Games for Diversity, there's a write-up in which the company chairman, Menno Dean, is highlighted and praised as a game changer by GamerIndustry.biz. The company at one point employed Belair. It's also run by the PAL Group, a company that recently entered into a partnership with Sweet Baby Inc., then deleted all mentions of the narrative consultancy firm from their website and LinkedIn when called out on it. Kind of like what I was saying before about how a lot of other companies don't want to have this connection to Sweet Baby Inc. because it's not like they're the only ones within the industry who are doing this sort of thing, but they're the ones who have the most heat on them, which is why they try to cut ties with Sweet Baby Inc. or not do so overtly have that connection with them, because it's really poisonous for any game developer out there to be associated with Sweet Baby Inc. at this time. After releasing their video, Gothic Therapy was hit with a complaint filed by Game for Diversity. And this is what MasterOfTheTDS said in a screen grab on Twitter sharing that. It appears that individuals associated with Games for Diversity has filed a privacy complaint with YouTube regarding both our video and live stream that discuss their activities. Where does it go down here? So the channel was sent an official notice from YouTube, which stated that Games for Diversity had cited privacy concerns in the complaint. Of course, the video and content Gothic Therapy shared was all publicly available information, so it's unclear how any of it was a violation of privacy. Now, I will push back on that a little bit, because just because the information is publicly available doesn't necessarily mean it's not a violation of privacy, because a lot of times when people are getting doxxed, the information is publicly available if you know how to look for it and if you know how to connect certain dots together. I mean, it's not like people are like hacking into private accounts to get that information. You can obtain that information through open source means, but that's not really what they were doing with that in this situation, where they're saying like they have this information that they're trying to say it's a violation of privacy, because if it's freely available, well, then you're not allowed privacy complaints if people can just like go to your own website and get that very information. Like my channel, for instance, my name's Jason. I have that on my official YouTube bio portion right there. So if someone said like, oh, this is your first name, it's like, well, that's not, I can't really complain and say like, oh, that's private information or whatever, because I made that freely available. And that's something that Games for Diversity actually did with this information that they were reporting on. This appears to be nothing more than an attempt to silence the growing YouTube channel and cast the shadow of obscurity once more over the Dutch firm and its actions. That's kind of what they're complaining about. This is further what they said. It appears that individuals associated with Games for Diversity have filed a privacy complaint with YouTube regarding both our video and live stream that discuss their activities. MasterOfTheTDS said on X, all information shared in our content was publicly accessible. If further action is taken against us, we are prepared to contest it. Publicly available information does not violate privacy rights. Kind of what I was saying here. They were also attacked by drag performer Amanda Sparks. Got a translation of that attack right here. Those sick Americans who made a video denouncing my game made another one of this time. I'm not even going to engage because they're too crazy. Ugh. Okay, so why would you make this statement saying I'm not going to make a statement on it except just to complain? But after these social media attacks, Gothic Therapy looked further into Games for Diversity and made another connection between the troublesome Dutch firm and Kim Belair's Sweet Baby Inc. Aileen Mujires, I don't know how to pronounce that, board member of Games for Diversity, is also the lead producer for the POW group, which they've already established has that connection to Sweet Baby Inc. So it turns out the DEI narrative consultancy world is a lot smaller than most people think it is. Thanks to MasterOfTheTDS and WritingRaven, we can all see that more clearly than ever. These attempts to silence them and darken the spotlight being shown on the industry just shows they are other prominent YouTube channels are pressing against a very raw and newly exposed nerve. Are you shocked? Okay, so that's pretty much the end of it right there. Yeah, they don't like the idea that, like I said before, how Sweet Baby Inc. is one of those companies that really has a lot of attention on them in a negative way. So any studios that are associated with them also has a lot of negative attention on them. And then we're finding out that these other companies out there also are connected to Sweet Baby Inc., which is why they want to try to silence people like this and abuse the YouTube systems in order to try to get that taken care of. But ultimately it's going to fail. And I think this is just going to be a Streisand effect. I mean, that's why I'm hearing about this right now, is because even though I don't necessarily follow MasterOfTheTDS on YouTube or anything like that. Maybe I should start looking into their stuff a little bit more, because This is the reason I came across this, is because they were trying to silence it. So doing that is just going to be a Streisand effect. You're going to draw more attention to yourself and basically point out the fact that you are working with Sweet Baby Inc. And this whole thing at the end of it, where it's saying it's looking like this kind of realm within the video game industry about these companies trying to push DEI and other things like that, it is actually exceedingly small. It might seem like it's really prominent, but there's few companies out there who are actually really prominent in pushing these type of agendas. And as time goes on, a lot of game studios are starting to become more weary of working with them because they see that it's not helpful for them selling games. There's some companies out there who are still true believers in these causes and will continue working with them. And I think that's why they're hiring them to begin with. I've said it before, Sweet Baby Inc. isn't necessarily the problem. They're a symptom. The problem is game studios wanting to hire a DEI consultancy firm to work with them. But eventually these companies are going to start going under, because you can't keep this up for very long, because a lot of the games that push this type of stuff is going to fail, and they have been failing pretty rapidly. It's even to the point where major IPs are failing that are pushing this type of thing. So I think a lot of the bigger studios are going to start catching wind of this and try to distance themselves. It's going to take some years before we see the final result of this materialize, because games take years in order to develop. So I think 5 years from now, we'll start seeing a lot more games kind of free of this sort of thing. And the stuff that comes out in the meantime, I think it's going to start failing, which just kind of solidifies the idea that you need to get away from this sort of thing. So I think it is good news that there's people like this out there pointing out whenever there's other companies kind of springing up, pushing this sort of agenda. And basically, the sunlight's the best disinfectant. You just keep shining a light on them, and eventually you'll overcome them. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.